Good afternoon. Welcome to this edition of the Coal Scene. I'm Chris Hamilton, and I'll be your moderator of the next half hour. Joining me in the studio today is Chancellor Jim Skidmore, who heads up our community and technical college system here within the state of West Virginia. Jim and I have partnered over the years on a number of adult training programs, particularly those that are currently underway at the Southern Community and Technical College in Logan and West Virginia University's Coal Mine Extension Service. And those programs have primarily been for training, providing basic orientation, and retraining for many of our state's coal miners. Jim and I spent a little time the other day at the governor's workshop where the governor and First Lady were talking about a number of the programs that are available through the community and technical college system. So we're here today to talk about some of those, and there's also some interesting programs that are currently available for those within the industry that may have experienced a recent layoff. So we want to talk about some of those as well. Chancellor, good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chris.
Really appreciate you taking the time from your busy schedule to join me today to talk about some of these educational programs.
It's my pleasure to do that. There's nothing I would rather talk about than our educational programs.
Well, you've been serving as chancellor now for a little over a decade.
It's been 11 years.
11 years. And maybe a good place to start. I know there's been a lot of changes over that period of time, and most recently the renaming of our facilities and some changes there within the basic structure.
Yeah. Well, Chris, there's been a number of changes over that period of time for our community and technical colleges. You know, one time our community colleges, some of them, 7 of them at the time, were part of 4-year institutions. And we really had a lack of what I call true community college programs, which are a lot of technical type programs. And those programs, the technician level programs, really became in high demand over the last 6 or 8 years when a number of sectors like manufacturing and oil and gas, and they had a lot of people entering retirement, and then they were employing more people. So we have added over the last 5 years or so like 124 new certificates, 1-year degree programs, and also associate degree programs to address that, what we call that technician level occupation. That's those occupations that require some higher level training beyond high school, but less than a baccalaureate degree. And that's what community colleges do. And during that period of time, we've been fortunate. We have had some programs that we have had money allocated through the governor and the legislature to address some employer partnerships and have some workforce training dollars that we never had before. Plus, here in South Charleston and some other places in the state, we've built some new facilities. We have the Advanced Technology Center in South Charleston, but there's a new technology center in Williamson that we didn't have before. And so with money through the legislature and support of the governor, we've been able to build some facilities that allowed us to do more of this technical type training.
Probably ought to plug the governor a little bit. I mean, throughout his 4 years as governor now, yeah, and First Lady Joanne Tomlin, I mean, they have just been absolutely committed and have done everything imaginable to elevate the system and to make sure all the pieces are working together.
Well, of course, the governor and his president of the Senate, he was critical to getting the system to where it is today because he was involved in the process of establishing an independent community college system. And of course, the First Lady has been president of Southern West Virginia Community and Technical College for a number of years. So both of them have been huge supporters of community and technical college education. And of course, our governor has a keen interest in workforce development because workforce development, economic development are linked so closely together. And at the Workforce Summit the other day, you heard the Secretary of Commerce, Keith Burdett, talk about when they're trying to attract new business into the state, that one of the top priorities of those businesses, do we have a skilled workforce? because if you don't have a skilled workforce, then it makes it more difficult to attract those type of companies. And as these technician level program or occupations become available, it's critical to community colleges have the programs that we can put people into those jobs, because they're high wage, high demand jobs. And it really gives an opportunity for West Virginians to have a high standard of living if they have the proper skills to get those jobs. And that's basically what we do in community colleges.
You know, it seems like there was also sort of a resurrection of the community and technical college system here 5, 6, 7 years ago. A lot of renewed interest. I know in Cole, you know, at that time we were looking for a lot of new miners.
Right.
And we were involved with the high schools. We were even involved with you know, some of the higher ed college programs, just trying to see what we could do to be able to incorporate you know, a greater level of interest and sort of steer people towards mining. One of the things I recall, thinking back, that prompted all that was not only were we in a high demand, a high growth period at that time, but we had also realized that it had been some time since we actually hired new miners. And so consequently, you know, the age of our average worker was nearing retirement, and we weren't sure, you know, where we were going to go or how we were going to hire the people just to fill in. And I think we saw that across the board.
Well, absolutely, it's across the board. I mean, we work with a number of employers, and what has occurred in, you know, mining and oil and gas is another example. Oil and gas, there was a period where, you know, they hired people, and then there was a down period where a whole generation of workers, they didn't hire anybody. And now, with what's happening in oil and gas, they're hiring people because that group that they initially hired are nearing retirement age. So there's one, and when they retire, they're taking a whole lifetime of skills with them. So with a lot of the industries that we see that are going through that cycle now. And that's exactly what was occurring at the mining industry. And the other thing is, you know, in the mining industry, and same way with manufacturing, same way with oil and gas, I mean, information technology, even almost any area, the skill level keeps increasing. I mean, you just look at what technology, and you're very familiar with what technology has done in the mining industry. Well, that's across the board, because technology has changed the way all businesses operate, and it's a higher skill level. And, you know, there was a time that if there was a coal miner that had to program a computer or a programming logical controller, that didn't happen. But now it's an everyday occurrence, and it's across the board. They do it in oil and gas, they do it in manufacturing, and that's a high skill thing, because they have to know the whole system, not just what they're doing. So we've seen that across the board. Same thing you've seen in mining. And you're looking for a higher caliber person now than maybe you were 15 years ago.
Totally
and
different.
most are. Yeah.
Totally different skill set.
Right.
I know in mining, we went about maybe 15, closer to 20 years without hiring a lot of people. You know, through the late 80s, 90s, and you know, early 2000s. So subsequently, we noted that we lost a lot of training centers, lost a lot of training instructors, training facilities, and that prompted us at that point. You know, we were able to create the 2 mining schools, one at Southern and the other housed centrally up at West Virginia University.
Well, you mentioned that, you know, community colleges become more prevalent over the last 4 or 5 years. That's the reason why, because up to that point, there wasn't a huge demand, but then that demand came back, and as you said, a lot of the training programs had gone away, and so we was looking at the community and technical colleges to pick up the slack and put out some skilled folks. And at that time, we were fortunate. I think we got a Department of Labor grant that established the Mining Academy at Southern, and then also part of that was the mining extension at West Virginia University, and where that they could concentrate on some training programs for new miners, but also upgrading current miner skills, because we talked about how those skills are changing. And so both of those two are doing a lot of like foreman training, electrical training, and all those type of things that keeps the current employees up to date, plus giving some of that basic training to those coming in to the mining industry.
I've had both Jim Dean and Carl Baisden on the program before, and those guys do just a phenomenal job. And you mentioned it; they're also very flexible and versatile. The moment the need for new miners ceases, they just flip a switch, and they're providing specialty training. They're providing enhanced training for supervisory personnel. Been doing a lot of mine rescue and first response type training. So
they've done a lot in which is critical to all industries. Safety training, and is probably as much or more in mining industries anywhere else. But that's some of the things they've focused on is safety and also getting the current workers up to speed and on what the changes are and the new techniques and all those type of things. So, and I'm sure, I know Carl Baisden at Southern very well, and Carl is certainly dedicated to advancing mine training, and Jim, I know Jim Dean as well, and Jim has been in the business a long time, and they're both very dedicated. So we're fortunate to have those two guys in this state when it comes to coal mine training.
Absolutely, couldn't have selected anyone any more capable than those two to run those two facilities. And I get to both schools, and it's also a great model because of the partnering with local mining companies. And even with the United Mine Workers, they've participated with both those facilities.
It's a great model.
It is great. It is a great model. Now, fast forward, here we are today. We're in this period of statewide austerity. We've not been hiring new miners. We've actually been laying miners off for a whole variety of reasons we won't get into today. But there's 4,000 or 5,000 miners that have been displaced here within West Virginia, and I'm aware. You and I've had the discussion. There's some opportunities. There's some educational opportunities for some of those individuals today.
Chris, one thing, when there are a number of dislocations in any industry, it's a great time for those individuals to get retrained. And because particularly if they're not working, they have the time, and we can do some accelerated programs. But there are a number of programs in West Virginia for dislocated miners. You just mentioned UMWA. There's a career center down at Beckley that received a Department of Labor grant, and where it's for miners, families, if they have dependents or their spouse, and it's also for those industries that support the mining industry. If they have had layoffs as a result of the mining industry, those workers are available or are eligible for retraining. And there's money to do that. They can get up to $5,000. They'll pay up to $5,000 for a training program. They can get, I think it's up to something like $20 a day or $100 a week.
So there's a stipend.
Yes,
as well.
for incidentals like travel and those things. But the $5,000 will cover books and all those type of things. And it's for if it's for different members of the family. And the only thing a miner has to do is, and where most of them do this when they're claiming their unemployment benefits, they have to go down to one of Workforce West Virginia's one-stop centers. And then they can be referred to one of these training centers. And we're working with them on programs. And we're doing, of course, miners attend community college, what I'll call our regular programs. I was down at the community college Bridge Valley one night, and there was a dislocated miner in there. I heard him talking. He's in Allied Health program. I think he's in nursing.
Oh, okay.
So, he's in our program. So we have Allied Health programs. We have manufacturing programs. We have oil and gas programs. We have welding programs. And we're starting a couple of new programs, really directed to dislocated miners. One of them is electrical, mechanical, and instrumentation program. And this is a high-skilled job, but these miners are bringing some skills into that. So they're not starting from scratch. They have some skills.
Right.
And we sat down. The idea was to get the miners skilled up to where they can get a job that will pay somewhere near what they were making. It may not pay exactly initially what they were earning in the coal mines, but it'll give them an opportunity for a high wage job. And we sat down with the oil and gas companies, and we mapped out this curriculum, said, look, if we give you this person, is that what you need? And they said, and after we tweaked the curriculum, they said yes. We're going to accelerate that program. We're actually going to give those miners about 2 years worth of programming within a year. And it's going to be instrumentation, it's going to be PLCs, it's going to be those type of things. And actually, it'll prepare them if they want to go work in the chemical industry, manufacturing, and oil and gas. And if they ever go back into the mines, then it will also be appropriate for what they'll be doing in the coal mines. Because as we look at some of these skills, some of those core skills are the same over these different industries. So we're going to do that. Another program we're going to start is there is a need for chemical operators in the Kanawha Valley. And we have a program at Bridge Valley right now that we have a 2-year degree program and a 1-year degree program. But that's not putting out enough students. So what we're going to do is run a daytime, full-time, accelerated program for chemical operators. And then we're working with some of the chemical companies that will take those individuals in what we call a co-op, a job placement, or a work placement, where they'll go to school and be also doing some things at the chemical plant. And, chemical operator, they make $70,000 a year, $80,000 a year, depending. But these are things that we're trying to do to address dislocated coal miners. Now, obviously, some of the oil and gas jobs are north central West Virginia, northern Panhandle. So there are more opportunities if that dislocated worker is willing to move. And a lot of people go, they work during the week, come back home on weekends. But if the more mobile they are, the better opportunity to get some of these jobs. And I talked to one of the midstream oil and gas companies, and they needed measurement techs, instrument techs, and we're going to start a measurement tech program that will allow them to go in the oil and gas industry. And instrumentation folks and plant operators, I said, what do your people make? What do your employees? They said, I don't have anybody making, in those technician level, we don't have anybody making, they're all making between $80,000 and $105,000 a year.
Wow.
So, and that's with, some training to a community and technical college. So those are the type of things that we're trying to start, and along with our regular programming, to address dislocated workers. And, there's money through Workforce West Virginia. They have individual training accounts where they'll pay tuition. We have student financial aid programs in our community colleges. The Pell Grants, they don't have to pay Pell Grants back. It's a program that it's a grant. So, if folks don't think that they can afford to go and do some training, there are a lot of financial means out there that will allow them to do that.
Well, especially if they are entitled to a stipend in some cases.
Exactly.
That help offset some of those incidental costs.
Right. And if they get the type of programs in which I've been speaking about, then they're going to be skilled enough to go into a variety of sectors. And that certainly will open up their options. And then, like I say, if they go back into the coal mine someday, they're going to be a better qualified person than they did before they got the training.
No question. Did you indicate that some of these programs may be extended to family members as well?
Well,
and not just the individual.
Right. This, some of the grants will also pay what I talked about, the tuition and the stipends and whatever for family members, if of a dislocated coal miner, and if it's a spouse or if it's a dependent child, and they need to go back to school, displaced homemaker type of thing, and so they can participate as well. So you conceivably could have 3 or 4 people from one family. You're going through one of the training programs.
Yeah, wow.
And so there's a lot of emphasis on, doing something constructive in training programs for dislocated miners and their families.
the program that a lot of these miners are currently going through, and the curriculum that's been designed, that not only that's I don't like using the word generic, but it is sort of an all-purpose industrial program.
It is. You know, I mean, when you talk about electrical, mechanical.
There's nothing generic about those
Right.
occupations. I mean,
No.
they're highly specialized and require a high skill level.
Well, so many of those occupations require electrical, mechanical, and you go into the oil and gas and the chemical industries, there's instrumentation. And we also give them some of the computerized, you know, equipment type of operations, PLCs and those type of things. So, and then if they want to take that and extend that on to an associate degree level program like in advanced manufacturing, then they can do that. And because this will give them the base to go on and get higher skills where they get into, you know, more sophisticated things like robotics and those type of things. So it's really a great base for a lot of industries. And like I said, they're coming in with some skills to start with. And so we think it's a good match with their background of working in the mines and then moving into these type of jobs.
Oh, it sounds great. I know I've been involved in a couple of meetings, a couple of forums where the suggestion was raised to have sort of a, you know, an industrial worker certification.
Yeah.
So someone that's been trained to go in a mine doesn't have to be completely retrained when he leaves mining and goes to the chemical
Right.
area or oil and gas. And it sounds like you're ahead of that at this point.
Well,
with-
I mean,
with
I
this
think what
program.
we're doing is, you know, we've talked. I mean, the important thing is we've talked to industry, and they've said this, you know, this is the type of people we need. And then, you know, the other thing that they can do, and it's like in the mines, they can take an individual with those skills, and then they can do additional training right there in the company that take them to higher levels on needs that they have, because they'll have this base of electrical, mechanical, and instrumentation that they can move on up the scale with more sophisticated things in their company. Because you know, companies have different types of equipment, and so we can't train on every piece of equipment out there, but we can give them the skills where a company can take them and then move them up the ladder pretty quickly, and then that gives them, you know, more money obviously and more responsibility, and that's what we're aiming to do.
Where would one go? What would be the first point of contact that an individual that's hearing this that may have an interest and say, man, I might be able to do that.
Okay.
I got a little bit of time.
Okay, if they want to enter that UMWA Career Center, then go to One Stop, which the Workforce West Virginia, they can be referred there. The three schools that we're working with to develop the instrument or electromechanical instrumentation program is New River Community Technical College down in Beckley, Southern West Virginia Community Technical College, and Bridge Valley Community and Technical College down here at South Charleston. That's where the majority of the dislocated miners are, in that region of the state. So they can contact any three of those colleges. They're easy to find. Just Google them on the internet, and they'll pop up, and you can call, or they can call my office, which is 558-0265. Of course, area code 304. We'll be glad to direct them to the college and the program. And but they can call the college and they get referred, and they can come in and talk with us and see if that's what they want, and then we can get them through the process and get them enrolled.
Are there individuals or counselors involved that they could sit down and talk to at these facilities and kind of ease their comfort of what they're getting into?
They can do two things. They can meet with the counselor, but probably more importantly, they can meet with the instructor, because the instructor can go into detail of what they're going to be going through, what are the courses, you know, what's the program, what are the jobs, because, you know, they keep in touch with employers, and so they can sit down, they can see the equipment, they can, you know, just kind of walk them through the program. And I'm willing to bet you if some of those miners do that, they'll say, well, I already know how to do that. I've had electrical training, and if they do, they don't have to take that course. If they have those skills, and that accelerates it that much more. because, you know, they're going to have skills when they come in, and we don't want to repeat what they already know. So it's meeting with the counselor, but also they can meet with that instructor and they can walk them through the program.
And when they finish, we're looking at about a 12-month program?
Yeah, this is about, yeah, it's not quite 12 full 12 months. We have that program broken up into modules of 4 12-week modules, and with different subject areas. And they do, to get all the skills in, they do go all day. It's like a job. You know, they come in the morning and leave in the evening. So it's set up to where that we can get them through as quickly as possible. But and we can't do it much quicker than that, because the skill level is at a, you know, the skill is at a level that it just takes time to get these skills, and they build on each other. You know, we can't just give them everything at once, because one builds on the other. And but we can get them through in that period of time and get them some skills that they can.
Now, are they receiving college credit
They can, yes, they will be. They will receive college credit. They can get a 1-year certificate of applied science degree. And as I said earlier, they want to take that and they decide they want to, you know, go on further education, they can go on into an associate degree and get an associate degree in you know, some of those areas.
And just take that a step further, I know there's just been great coordination amongst the community and technical college system and the higher ed system as well. I know there's been a lot of people that go a year or two at the community college level, you know, before they go to a 4-year university.
Yeah, and that's one of our functions, is a transfer function where students can come to us, and we have colleges in some of these technical areas, like you know, we haven't talked about engineering technology and some of those, but and they you know, they're hired at industries that I just talked about, plus mining. And so they have 2+2 programs where they can go 2 years to community college and then go 2 years to baccalaureate institution. For example, Bridge Valley and WVU Tech, they have a 2+2 articulation where a student can go through engineering technology at Bridge Valley, and then a +2 at Montgomery with the West Virginia University Institute of Technology, and get a 4-year degree in engineering technology and in electrical, mechanical, and some other areas, which is a very highly skilled individual that's in demand in a lot of areas in sectors. And you folks in mining hire those type of people. You've hired them in the past, but there are opportunities to where they can start and they can keep building and getting more and more training and education to go. Because, you know, let's face it, job demands are going to require that.
Yes.
Because the skill levels don't go down, they go up.
Jim, I tell you, we're almost out of time here, and I just appreciate so much you coming by and talking to us a little bit here this afternoon about these opportunities that are out there. And I hope that